Hey everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about how risky it feels to put ourselves out there sometimes. The very things that I work on when I help leaders and even for my own business, things like personal branding, storytelling, thought leadership, all of those things feel risky. And I think to some degree they do carry risk because we're basically opening ourselves up to judgment from others, emotional risk, and things like that. All the kinds of things that we would like to avoid, right? So I often hear this from people when I talk to them about the work that I do. They say, I don't want to put myself out there. I don't really want to do personal branding. I don't really want to tell my stories. I don't think I want to share my opinions. And I get it. I actually really lived in that space for a very long time. I would be the last person to ever get on video. And even though I have lots of ideas and different perspectives, I generally wouldn't kind of share them broadly. I would share them with like trusted friends and everything, but wouldn't share them broadly because I didn't want to be judged. And also, I think a lot of people just don't want to feel embarrassed. They don't want to share aspects of their lives with others because they think, what will people think of me? How will this impact my business? Will people judge me? And you know what? I think sometimes people do judge us. Sometimes I think this stuff does get held, does people hold this against us sometimes? That's kind of been my experience, my perspective. And so I think it's just easier to just kind of remain in the shadows and to hide. I can't tell you how many times I would like to do that, honestly. Every time I go to film a video, I'm like, should I really do this? Every time I go to write a newsletter article, I'm like, should I hit send or should I not hit send? Like when I share a story about my life, I'm like, this is a little bit too much information for people. Well, the fact remains is that even though these things are risky, there is a lot of potential gain. And, these are the kinds of things that can help us to build trust with others, to become known, to be seen, to grow in credibility. And so they are strategic initiatives that can benefit us. But I would say that above all, more than anything, it's really just about cultivating a way of life where we can feel freedom in who we are. And I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back from sharing with the public because that's just too much of a reach. We'd rather just kind of share that with our close colleagues, our family, our friends. And I would never advocate for putting everything out there. I think usually it's best to work with a partner, kind of you can run things that, ideas by somebody and get their opinion. But I think that it's really kind of worth just maybe challenging our ideas on, do we need to keep limiting ourselves to the point where we're just invisible and we're just going to stay hidden because that's just riskier? A lot of times we actually just have to take the risk, just do the thing. I remember seeing some posts about, some people who'd really grown in their business, and they said, the cost of entry is embarrassment. Now, I would not advocate for trying to embarrass yourself. Let's keep it classy. But just keep that in your mind that if you feel like kind of embarrassed, maybe it's just your discomfort with just kind of revealing something about yourself, and it probably is not that embarrassing. That kind of helps me. And also, don't take yourself too seriously. I don't think other people are. It's okay to just talk about life stories that are sometimes silly, that shows our failures at something or our faults. We don't have to be perfect for everybody. Actually, these days, people really just want to see that you're normal and you're human and that you're just like them and you're relatable. So I guess I would just say I understand people's feelings about how these kinds of things are risky and they don't want to do them because it feels uncomfortable. But there is something to be said about our growth as people and pushing into these areas where we're comfortable with ourselves, we're comfortable with others seeing who we are, and we are unafraid to be who we are, to speak our truth. And whether that benefits business or not, fine. But at the end of the day, I think it's more just about actually just like living and being your true self for all to see.